And we are live. Hello, everyone. You are looking live at my home office. Hope everybody's good. Happy Friday. I am back from Boston and Harvard. Was there for a soccer thing, as you probably guessed, for my son. Things went, I think, pretty well. We'll see what the coaches think. Thank you for joining me. I do this every Friday. I answer as many questions as I can from the people from our community. Let's see. What can I tell you? So, quickly on how this works, just throw a question in the chat if you have a question. I'll answer a bunch. 3 ways you can support me on YouTube. Let me tell you. Number one, easiest. 4 ways you can support me. Easiest, hit the subscribe button. Second easiest, like this video. Just hit the thumbs up. Third easiest, you can donate to me in that little super chat button, which is the rectangle with the $ in it down at the bottom of the chat. If you do make a donation, I will make sure your question jumps up to the top of the list and answer it. But I will answer lots and lots of questions, so don't feel compelled to donate. Last, 4th way you can support me, I have started a membership tier for YouTube. It's called the Diamond Club. Get it? Balls and strikes. Diamond Club. Baseball. So basically, if you pay a monthly fee, you get a bunch more content from me. So you get my weekly Monday video podcast with Chuck Todd, former host of Meet the Press. That's usually about an hour long. You get lots of other video and interviews I do. I just posted an interview for members only in the Diamond Club that I did with Lee Drutman, a senior fellow at New America and a redistricting expert. We talked about redistricting in Texas and everywhere else. You also get a second weekly live stream. So I always do this live stream for anyone who's a supporter, anyone who's a subscriber, but I do a second 15, 30 minutes, depending on the number of questions we have, for people who are members of the Diamond Club, members of that subscription tier. So check it out. You can hit join really easily if you just go to youtube.com/Chris Cillizza. Okay, let's get started. Human NC says, hey, Chris, thanks for doing this. No problem. Daniel Good. Daniel, thank you for being a member of the Diamond Club. Daniel says, hey, Chris, I'm wondering if you could share your thoughts on Trump firing Eric McIntyre from Bureau of Labor Statistics. Will you be able to trust any jobs numbers going forward? I mean, it's really bad, right? Like, talk about blaming the racket because you're bad at tennis. I hold 2 thoughts in my head at the same time. Number one, I really wish the Bureau of Labor Statistics could do a better job. This is not because of Erica McIntyre or anybody else specifically there, but I wish they could do a better job at explaining to people how they get their numbers. These numbers are estimates, right? It's really hard to have a hard and fast number on exactly how many jobs were created in the economy like every month. It's an estimate. That said, I think they need to find better tools to get those estimates to be a little closer to right. Missing by 258,000 jobs in May and June is a bad look and undermines confidence in it. So that's thought one. Thought two, there's no evidence that Erica McIntyre or anybody else at BLS is purposely cooking the books. Trump says, well, they're doing it to hurt me. Well, in February, when the jobs numbers are pretty good, Trump said everything's great. And, he trusted the numbers. You can't only trust the numbers when they're good for you and say they're fake when they're bad for you. I think it is probably right that whoever replaces Erica McIntyre deserves some level of scrutiny, and you have to take the numbers that come out as maybe more influenced by politics than they were before. I don't see how a thinking person could not arrive at that. Thank you, Daniel. And thanks again for being a member of the Diamond Club. If you want to hit that join button, we actually have a bunch of members now, which is really great. It's again, one thing I should have said when I was saying all the different ways you can support me. Look, this only works with you guys. If you want this kind of independent journalism, you need to make it exist in the world through either your support by just becoming a subscriber, your support by hitting that thumbs up button and liking this video, or your financial support here by becoming a member of the Diamond Club, over at my Substack, buy me a coffee, whatever you want to do. Those are ways that you can support me, because it doesn't exist if you don't help it exist. Dan W. Dan says, enjoyed your conversation with Lee Drutman. Please keep making videos on solutions we can do to stop the doom loop. Nothing gets better without a change to the system. Keep fighting the good fight. Dan, I totally agree. And I would encourage people. It's on my Substack behind the paywall. It's also here for Diamond Club members. My full interview with Lee Drutman. It's about 45 minutes long. Really good. He's a redistricting expert, but also an election and political reform expert. We talked about why single-member districts are stupid. We talked about proportional representation. We talked about how to change the Supreme Court in ways that would make it better. No, it's not just adding more seats to it. Really interesting, good conversation. We basically agreed, as Dan points out, that we are at least currently in this doom loop, which is things are not going to get better because both sides are caught up in a, well, they're doing it, so we have to do it, which, is a mutually assured destruction. Sherry Zimmerman, good morning. Good Friday morning, CC. Good morning, Sherry. President Nixon prepared to resign August of 74, the presidency. Fun question. What was the last meal in the White House? Great culinary minds want to know. I don't know. I do know that the last person at the White House, the last senior official at the White House was a guy named Fred Malek, who was waving goodbye to Nixon as Marine One took off from the White House. And Fred Malek became a very powerful Republican fundraiser over the years. Anyway, Patrick Murray, question, thoughts on the upcoming Trump-Putin meeting? Do you still see Trump sending aid to Ukraine after this? Patrick, unless I miss something in the last 5 minutes, I don't know that meeting is confirmed. And I always, when it comes to Trump and Putin, two very unpredictable people, I always say take it with a grain of salt until they're sitting in a meeting. Look, I think Trump's plan had long been that he would cut a deal with Putin and then just force Zelensky, Ukraine, to accept it. Putin's bad actorness, which is obvious, but Trump appears to just have figured it out, has put a little bit of a hitch in that giddy up and that plan for Trump. But I still think, look, he wants to win a Nobel Peace Prize. He wants to end the war between Russia and Ukraine because he thinks that gets him there. And I think he still thinks the deal is to be made with Russia because it's a bigger military power, bigger country, bigger economic force, and that they'll figure out the Ukraine piece. So I don't know, but I'm skeptical. Sam, hey Chris, chowder or chowder? I'm more of a chowder guy. Park the car and half a yard. There are people who still talk like that in Boston, by the way. Sam says Corey Mills seems to be calling his office a lot. Is the GOP slim majority in the House the only reason they haven't kicked him out yet? So yes. I think it is, Sam. So for people who don't know, Corey Mills, member of Congress, Republican from Florida, lots of allegations about extramarital affairs, highlighting allegations about potential domestic abuse. And yeah, I think it would be I think the leadership in the House would be paying more attention and maybe trying to kick him out if they didn't have a 3-seat majority. The truth of the matter is that's a Republican seat. So they'll replace Mills if Mills does go, they'll replace him with another Republican. The question is how long will that take? And in that interregnum, now they have a 2-seat majority. So yeah, for people who don't know, look, I've written a bunch about Corey Mills on my Substack. You should read it. Julio J. Chris, do you see a bipartisan path to solve for gerrymandering? And why has the Supreme Court ruled on racial gerrymandering but declined to rule on partisan gerrymandering? Well, Julio, if you listen to my conversation with Lee Drutman yesterday, you would realize that they have already ruled on partisan gerrymandering. They have said it is okay to draw districts with political gain as the main goal. The racial gerrymandering thing, which is Article 2, is something that, according to Lee Drutman, who watches this stuff really closely, is going to fall. Which racial gerrymandering, which is the part of the Voting Rights Act, basically at this point says you cannot draw a district if you cannot willingly draw or purposely draw a district that would give less political power to a minority community. That, according to Lee, is going away, and that then will become the Wild West for redistricting. All of the rules are off. Barnaby Jones, I hope all the states follow suit and the Democratic Party just goes away. Well, Barnaby, I do not think that's going to happen. I think we're going to have two political parties in this country. But I do think like all this redistricting stuff is going to make Democratic states have even more Democrats in the House representing them. Republican states have even more Republicans in the House representing them. And that I think probably means less cooperation. Franz George Leopold Piguel, love that name. You talk so much about what is smart, but you rarely talk about what is right, sustainable, and good. I would like to hear your ideas here too, not as an opinion, but as a take. Have a nice stream. I'm not sure I'm the person. I don't see my role, FG LP, as someone who tells you what's right. I mean, look, I will say this, like murder is wrong. I mean, like there are obvious things I think we should all be able to agree on. But I don't see my role as saying like this is right and this is wrong. My view is I analyze what's happening. I tell you what, based on my years of covering this stuff, I think will happen. And if there's like an obvious wrong, I try to call it out. But obvious wrong, especially in this day and age, is a lot in the eye of the beholder. So I don't totally see that as my role, but thank you for the thought. Anthony Turner. Anthony, thank you for your donation. And I should say anybody who donates, whether they become a member of the Diamond Club, whether they donate through Super Chat, whether they donate through Buy Me a Coffee, whether they become a subscriber at Substack, it all goes to me doing this kind of journalism. There's no overhead. It's like a charity where all your donations go to the charity. That's me. Not that I'm a charity, but I am, it's just me and my wife who handles the business side of things. That's it. So any donation goes to supporting this kind of journalism. So thank you. Anthony says, hey, Chris, do you think any other progressive candidates like AOC or Bernie might run for president in 2028? Well, yes, I think absolutely. AOC should run. Now, I don't know if she will, but I think she should run because I think Sanders is probably too old. You know, he's 84 or 85. I think he's probably too old to run. And I think the left, the economic populist left lane is pretty wide open for AOC. So I think she will run. If she doesn't, maybe Chris Murphy of Connecticut tries to occupy that lane, the senator. I'm trying to think if there's any obvious other person who could, I don't think Zoran Mamdani is going to get elected mayor of New York in 2025 and then run for president in 2028, but stranger things have happened. But I think she's going to run. Christopher Swan. Christopher, thank you for your kind donation as always. Texas fix apportionment amendment. 1 congressman per 50,000. 11 ratified, need 38. We target 10 Dem trifectas and 9 citizen initiative states, 30. Just need 8 more. Shrinks districts, ends gerrymandering for good, structural, not tactical. I am in favor of that. I'm also in favor of proportional representation, where you, this is what they do in England, for example. You have like a state that has 8 seats in Congress, like Maryland, and people run as Democrats or Republicans, and some 4, 5 Democrats win and 3 Republicans win, or Republicans get 40% of the vote, Democrats get 60% of the vote, and then you get members of Congress based on that. I think that's better than single member districts. I don't know if we're ever headed in that direction, but Congress could change the rules. I didn't know this, but Lee Drutman, who I talked to yesterday, made a really good point, which is that the rules on how many seats there need to be and what those seats look like are created by Congress. So they could change that relatively easily. It does not require a constitutional amendment. Maxwell Feiner. Maxwell says, do you think the Texas redistricting could backfire for the GOP, especially with the prospect of California, New York, and Illinois doing the same? This might not work out in their favor. I don't, Maxwell, because I think they're going to take 5 seats probably in Texas. I don't know how many more seats, especially New York and Illinois. They're already pretty gerrymandered by Democrats, and there's just more opportunities for Republicans. Florida, Missouri, Indiana, there's just more opportunities out there. So I think if you do net, even if you assume California can do 3 or 4, I still think you're going to have Republicans net some seats there. Let's see. Oh boy, sorry. A lot of stuff coming in. MSU fan, thank you for your donation. Very kind. Predictions for the primary in Georgia, governor and Senate. So I feel like governor is a little bit harder. Give me the attorney general over lieutenant governor there in the governor's race. On the Democratic side, I don't know. I don't know if that Democratic field is set yet for governor. Senate, Ossoff will obviously be the Democratic nominee. Senate on the Republican side, I think it'll probably come down to Derek Dooley, the former football coach, and Mike Collins, the congressman and son of former Congressman Matt Collins. Dooley is the guy that Brian Kemp, the current governor, wants. Collins is probably the guy that Trump endorses. So give me Collins there. Let's see. Okay, sorry, I just jumped. I just got a ton more in here. So sorry if I missed you. I promise I will get to you, do the best that I can. Helen Cartwright says, if all states follow Texas and redistrict, who will end up with the majority in the Senate and the House? All right, so Helen, you don't redistrict in the Senate. There's 2 seats for every for every state, 2 Senate seats. In the House, as I said, I think what Republicans are trying to do is add to their majority before 2026. They have a 3-seat majority, very narrow. They'll probably lose it. They want to get that maybe up to 10. I don't know that they can get it up to 10 because I do think Democrats will probably redistrict a few in California and Illinois, New York, maybe. But I think, again, I think it will net help Republicans seat-wise in the House, but I'm not sure that it keeps their majority. They're not going to go from a 6-seat majority to a 30-seat majority because of this redistricting. Let's see. Dr. Always First. I had ChatGPT create a mock VP debate in 28 between Don Jr. and Josh Shapiro. The results were wild. Do you ever use AI software to explore possible trends or see how a person might react to a situation? No, but that's a great idea, and I will do that. 93 Aditya Gupta. All right, Chris, we all know your disdain for Dave Matthews Band and Coldplay comes from the fact that all their songs sound the same. Surely you don't hold that against Canada's national treasure, Nickelback. Of course not. Nickelback is not just Canada's national treasure. I would say it's the Northern Hemisphere's national treasure. Brett Green. Hey, Chris, any news on the DNC? Things have died down for them so far. Yeah, I mean, look, it's still not a good situation, but David Hogg is no longer there. Ken Martin is still the chair, and there's just not any other obvious people who want to step in and take the job. So Ken Martin will be the chair for now. It's not in great shape. The RNC is outraising the DNC. I have not heard good things out of the DNC, but yes, for the moment, other things have taken priority. Let me quickly stop because we're at the 17-minute mark and say, do me 2 favors. Both of them are free and both of them are easy. Number 1, hit the subscribe button if you aren't already a subscriber to this channel. Number 2, hit that like button. That helps me get this content out to more people. All right, let's keep going. Let's see. JB, hey, Chris, love your content. Super duper important question. What's your favorite Taylor Swift song? That's a really good question. I would say I will admit, I have not listened to a ton of Taylor Swift. I mean, obviously I know her work, but I will tell you that Folklore is by far my favorite album of her. The Aaron Dessner from The National produced it. Bon Iver sings on it. So I love Folklore. That's the one that I listen to by far the most. A computer nerd. Did I have a wonderful holiday? It wasn't totally a holiday, if I'm being honest. My son was up at Harvard for a soccer ID camp where there are a bunch of colleges watching him, which is stressful, to be totally honest. I did get to see one of my longtime friends, best man at my wedding, Andy Schneider. Shout out to Andy, who lives up there. That was great. We got to see Harvard, which was cool. We saw Boston University. We saw Boston College. We saw Northeastern. We saw Babson. Boston College is that campus is incredibly beautiful. I was bowled over. Marcus, Chris, is it fair to consider yourself an independent journalist if you're a paid contributor to a news network? I think so, Marcus. And yeah, I am a paid contributor at News Nation. But it is not even close to the bulk of my income, to be honest. And I always disclose that. And I wrote about this on Substack. The reason I chose News Nation was because I think they reflect what I'm trying to do, which is down the middle, balls and strikes. You know, it's not Fox, it's not MSNBC. And so I felt like it was pretty brand consistent. If Newsmax came to me and said they wanted me to become a contributor, a paid contributor, I wouldn't have done it. But News Nation felt like a good place for me. Chris Cuomo, Leland Vittert, Elizabeth Vargas, you know, people who I respect. and I think are trying very hard to do journalism the right way. But yeah, I mean, it's a fair question, but I would say, trust me, most of my income is driven by YouTube and Substack. Evan Morgan, my biggest question above all else is how will 2028 go once Trump is gone or if Trump is gone or dead by that point? He's been incredible in driving out his base, and once he's gone, I don't know. Huge question that I don't know the answer to. I've said before and will continue to say that I don't think Donald Trump disappears from politics or loosens his grip on the Republican Party until he's dead. And I don't, obviously, know when that will be. Whether he's in office or not, I don't think he's going to loosen that grip until he is dead. When he dies will be the next real reckoning, I think, about what the Republican Party is and what they want it to be and who are the next leaders. I don't think if Trump is alive in 2028, I think that will largely be a choice between a bunch of Trump acolytes. I think until he is dead, you won't see that sort of robust fight over what the Republican Party should be. Paul Sow, do you see greater ambitions from MTG and her seeming moderation of views and break from the GOP? Not really. I mean, I don't know that you can say she's moderating her views. She's saying that Israel is committing genocide in Gaza. That is true. She is saying Trump needs to release all of the Epstein files. That is true. But I'm not sure that's moderation. I mean, she's always been a little bit unpredictable. And by little bit, I mean a lot bit. She declined to run for the Senate and for governor in Georgia this year, which I thought was odd. I don't totally know what her play is. She's never going to be, I don't think, like in leadership in the House. So I'm not totally sure what she's doing. Maybe she just wants to hang on to that House seat. I honestly don't know. Sam's still a Cillizza fan. Sam made a donation to me to make this point. Reputation is the best Taylor Swift album, and New Romantics is the best Taylor Swift song. Keep up the great work, Chris. He's got a take. Sam has takes on almost everything, folks. Doug Trapasso. There's been a lot written about how dysfunctional the DNC is. My question is the Republican equivalent equally floundering? Not really. And Doug, honestly, they usually don't. The truth of the matter is that, sorry, my kids are yelling outside my office. The truth of the matter is that, like, when you have the White House, the National Party Committee usually functions pretty well. It's easy to raise money. That president puts his people in, so there's not a lot of dissension usually in the ranks. So the Republican National Committee, I mean, functioning well, to me, that just means, are they raising a bunch of money so that they can spend it on campaigns? And the answer to that is yes. The DNC, I think, is afflicted by the same thing that every party committee out of power is afflicted by, which is they don't have a leader. There's no Ken Martin is not like a national figure, the DNC chair. So I always think that's challenging. Jim says, are there any centrist presidential candidates potentially out there? Not really. Mark Cuban, Andy Beshear, the governor of Kentucky on the Democratic side. On the Republican side, no. I mean, I guess, is Nikki Haley a moderate? I mean, she's pretty conservative, but she's not super Trumpy. Glenn Youngkin, maybe in Virginia, but no, there are not a ton. Tim Manto, what will the U.S. look like in the G6+1 world? I don't know. Tim, I think one of the things I try to be honest about is, like, I don't totally know what Trump's approach to foreign policy means for the future. Like, holding a gun to the head of our allies works in the near term. We saw that with the EU trade deal. But is it a long-term solution? And what are the long-term implications of that approach? I don't know that we know that yet. My guess is they're not good, but who knows? Mitchell Buck. Hey, Chris, you the man. That's the surest way to get your question answered, Mitchell. Is the Cuomo interview behind a paywall? Who's your Super Bowl favorite right now? Super Bowl favorite, Washington Commanders. Is the Cuomo interview behind a paywall? I did not do a Cuomo interview as far as I know. So yeah. Jay Jordan, could the raw partisanship of the Texas GOP drive independents or enough Dems to vote against them and lose some of the new districts they're trying to create? So I would say It's always a problem, Jay, for either party when you say like, okay, we're going to take the current map and we're going to carve out 3, 4, 5 new seats that are going to elect our side, because inevitably you got to take some Republicans from sitting districts that are represented by a Republican member and move them into these other districts to make them more winnable. So yes, it is possible that they cut the corner too close and a member or two on the Republican side currently in office loses. The thing that's different now from 30 years ago is they have computers that can draw these lines down like to the neighborhood, to the block. And so that makes it harder for like a mistake like that to get made. But you have candidates who underperform. I mean, that stuff happens. So let's see. Michael Draper, in your opinion, what would Trump have to do to actually be considered a great president? Well, I think we are not in a moment, Michael, where I think either side is going to produce a quote unquote great president in the moment, because we're just too polarized. I think anything Trump does, Democrats hate. Anything that Biden did, Republicans hated. Like, we're not in a place where I think we can do any kind of objective analysis about how a president is doing. And I think it's really hard to do that anyway, like this close to a presidency. I think, great and terrible presidents are often best seen 30, 40, 50 years after their presidency. But I don't think first of all, he won't change. So nothing is he's going to continue doing what he does. He has one setting, one speed, and he'll continue on that. But even if he did change, I don't think it would matter much. Let's see. Tim Manto, I'd love an Elections Canada nonpartisan election committee to have some power. Totally agree. Herbert Hinders, do you think it's likely a moderate from either side will be elected in 2028? No. I mean, both parties will try to moderate their nominee in a general election, but no. I mean, I think we're in a place where the bases have a lot of power. Independent voters are few and far between. And I think that, you're probably likely to get a left of center person on the Democratic side and a right of center person on the Republican side. Let's see. H, it's good to see former CNN, MSNBC, et cetera, doing their own thing and giving the news down the middle. Do you think there's a chance a lot of you guys could get together to form one straight news channel? I don't know. To me, like starting a news channel, like a TV channel, doesn't make a whole hell of a lot of sense. I don't think people are consuming content that way anymore. That's not to say that cable won't continue to exist. It will. I just think like forming together to make a TV news channel, whether it's moderate or whatever, I don't know will work or is what I'm going to do. I like collaborating. I like trying to find other people on YouTube who I can talk to, whether they agree with me or disagree with me. But I don't think that would work. Richard Cohn, thank you for your donation. No question, but very much appreciate your donation. MSU fan, thank you for another donation. Question: what one big piece of legislation that Trump will try to pass before his term ends? Are your kids dating anyone? How did your son do at soccer? The big legislation is the One Big Beautiful Bill. I'm very skeptical you'll see anything else huge passed. The only other thing that could happen is some kind of immigration reform. But that would require Trump going against his sort of hardcore base. And so it's probably not going to happen. But yeah, I think I think the One Big Beautiful Bill is the marquee piece of legislation. As for my kids, I don't talk about their personal life. Certainly not on this forum. Let's see. Blah, blah. Mo Coffee, has Elon abandoned his America Party idea? Kind of feels like it, doesn't it? I mean, I made a video about this and talked about this, wrote about this on Substack when it happened. Elon says a lot of stuff. He may put some money behind the America Party, but I'm skeptical he actually follows through with it, to be totally honest. Like, it's just the kind of thing he like says, and it's like kind of a joke. It's like Doge. It was like a joke, but then it became serious, but then like he didn't seem like he really wanted to do it. I'm skeptical of the America Party. Rusty, thank you for your donation. Rusty says, based on what you've seen so far, how are Democrats' chances in retaking the House in 2026? And if they win, how big a win will it be? I think they're a pretty good chance. Again, Rusty, this is entirely based on past historical trends. Usually when you have a president of one party who is under 50%, under 45%, probably in Trump's case, that party loses seats in the House in a midterm election. I think that Republicans are likely to lose seats. I mean, who the hell knows? Things can change, but I think the Republicans are likely to lose seats, and they only have a 3-seat majority. Let's say that they get they net national redistricting. They net 5 or 6 or 7 seats. Okay, now they have a 9-seat majority, maybe a 10-seat majority. Maybe they could hold that, but I'm still a little bit skeptical. I still think the historical trends, Trump's approval numbers, Democrats are more enthusiastic to vote right now than Republicans. I think that is problematic for Democrats. MSU fan, thank you for your donation. Do your politics lean center left or center right? I desperately try to make them lean center. Who would you vote? MSU fan, another donation. Thank you. Who would you vote for in New York City? So many factions. That's a tough one. I'm not sure. I haven't paid enough attention to Zoran Mamdani's politics. To me, I mean, I don't agree with everything he says there. He's certainly not a centrist. Andrew Cuomo is probably closer to my centristism, but I'm not sure he's the best messenger either. And then Adams, no. And Jim Handler, I don't know enough about the other guy. So, and Curtis Lewa, I don't know. He's been running for like 100 years. So I don't know who I would vote for. It's a good question. Let's see. David Johnson. David, thank you for being a member of the Diamond Club. Very much appreciated. David says, hey, Chris, your thoughts about Trump sending federal officers into D.C.? Well, I made a video about this morning, David. I mean, I think it's overkill. DC crime is down across every measure in DC year to year. Violent crime was down to a 30-year low in DC in 2024. Are there crimes? Yes, absolutely. It's a big city. I'm not sure we're ever going to prevent it. Do I think Trump is doing this because the big balls guy who worked for Doge got mugged? Mostly, yeah. And yes, I think it's bad that happened. But I'm just not sure DC is more dangerous today than it was 5 years ago. In fact, I would argue the data shows it's not. Doesn't mean it's not dangerous. Doesn't mean there aren't things we can do to make to address crimes being committed. I'm not totally sure that I think this is more about politics than about policy. Let's see. Tyler Kochman corrects me. You're right. UK does not use proportional representation. It's first past the post. My fault. Thank you for correcting me. Michael Gates. Hey, Chris, do you think Trump's tariffs started working in his favor with respect to recent trade deals, etc.? Not that it depends what you mean working in his favor. We are going to make more money from tariffs than we've made before because tariffs are higher than ever before. I think costs are going to be higher. I think that could trigger inflation worries. But, you know, I don't know. Politically, they're still bad. Tariffs. People don't trust them on trade. People don't want it. It creates uncertainty in the economy. The stock market doesn't love it. But like working from a policy perspective, I think we're probably too close to it right now. Trinity Bryan, I think Chris tries too hard to not say what political wrongs are. There's a lot of negatives in that. I don't totally understand it. Phil Reinhart corrects me. England does not do proportional representation. I am wrong. Ireland and New Zealand do. Yes, thank you. Lost Marble. Chris, what are your thoughts on Maine in 2026 Senate and Governor? Can Susan Collins be beat? I think she can be beaten, though I'll note she's been in since 1996 and she's won, she won in 2020 when presidential year when Biden was carrying the state. Can she be beaten in 2026? Democrats are waiting on Janet Mills, who's the term-limited Democratic governor, to see if she runs. I don't know that she will. I honestly have no idea. She seems in her public statements to make me think she doesn't want to do it, but who knows? If they don't have her, it's a little bit more challenging, but not impossible if the political environment is tilted toward Democrats nationally. Governor, I still think Democrats wind up winning that. It's a crowded field, but I think Democrats wind up winning that. Normally that's a governor a governor in Maine is going to be a Democrat. Riley Coyote. Riley, thank you for your donation. Riley says, been following since CNN. What do you think those of us in Texas can and should do at this point in regards to our voting rights and representation? Feeling awful. I'm a 5th generation Texan. This is home. Riley, there's not a hell of a lot you can do to change the fact that I think this map is happening. You can certainly, if you disagree with it, you can certainly speak out in public forums, online, in person, and then you have to vote the way that that's what we have, or run for office. Those are the levers that citizens have to pull. But yeah, this map is I think happening. Brett Green says, I just noticed no mic crackle this week. Okay, that's a victory. Sixto Cabrera, I know in the Dominican Republic, we use the D-Hunt method, which is some form of proportional allocation. Okay, interesting. Thank you. Pocket Watch, my friend, thank you for being a member of the Diamond Club. He says, good question from an MSU fan. That question is an MSU fan. Thanks for your donation. Who are possible VP fit picks for both parties in 2028? I'll tell you who I think right now. Abigail Spanberger for Democrats. I think she's going to get elected governor of Virginia. Abigail Spanberger in 2025. Abigail Spanberger. Don Jr. for JD Vance. Pocket Watch. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Patrick Adams. If this is truly a live stream, please put on a top hat to prove you're reading the messages. Thank you. I don't have a top hat, but here's how you know it's real. Here's my dad joke 3000.
What's blue and smells like paint? Blue paint. I'm reading a book about anti-gravity. It's impossible to put down.
Patrick Adams. I hope that satisfied you. Let's see. MJ Jewell. MJ, thank you for your donation. I'm biased as a Georgia resident, but what do you think of a Warnock-Ossoff ticket in 2028? I'm a big supporter of Warnock, and Kemp, honestly, voted Kemp in 2022. Well, according to the Constitution, the VP and the presidential nominee can't be from the same state. So I don't think that's going to happen. But I do like Warnock, Raphael Warnock, as a dark horse 2028 candidate or VP candidate. Ossoff, I always tell people, he's got to win this first. He's got to win re-election before I start talking to him about a presidential. Blaze, when Trump dies, do you think the Republicans could move back to the center at that point? I don't know. I don't know. I think, again, I said before, but I'll say it again. I think when Trump dies is the next real chance for the Republican Party to have a real honest conversation about who they are and what they want to be. And I don't know if that means moving more towards the center. Who the hell knows what the center even looks like anymore? It's kind of hard to figure out. So I don't know exactly what it'll look like, but that will be the next time for the Republican Party to remake themselves. Tyler Kochman, Michelle Wu, the mayor of Boston, is likely to head to the Senate and then run for president potentially in the next 10 to 15 years. That would be interesting. I think she's talented. You have to have an opening first. I think Ed Markey, I think, is up this time, but I think Jake Auchincloss, the young member of Congress, might challenge him in a primary. So the problem there is, like, if you're a Democrat in Massachusetts, there's a lot of people in line in front of you, but she is interesting. Eric Mays, Texas A&M is playing almost all their games at night. Predictions, man. We need A&M to be good this year for my family's sake. We need it. Can't have bad A&M football and bad Georgetown basketball. It's just devastating. Brad Davin, why are so many Democratic politicians cursing when they are getting interviewed? Is that just political advisors telling them, or is that authentic? I mean, look, I think it's I always think when you try to be authentic, you're not really being authentic. So I think it's some combo of both. I mean, look, I think plenty of politicians do swear in private. I swear all the time in private. I don't swear on this. So yeah, I think some of it's authentic. I think some of it's like, we need to be tough, which I think is a little bit of a put on. I mean, you don't have to tell people you're tough if you're actually tough. Star Wars 2007. Do you think Republicans will return to their previous traditional positions and values in 2028? Will they pick a more Nikki Haley, Mitt Romney type? Will Vance continue on MAGA as it is now? I do not think they're picking a Mitt Romney or a Nikki Haley type. I think the options, I think it is more likely they go as Trumpy or more Trumpy than they go less Trumpy, to be honest. Let's see. MS22401 gal. Do you think Glenn Youngkin is a moderate? Holy smoke, that's scary. You think that? So this is my whole thing. Moderate is kind of hard. He's not super MAGA. That doesn't necessarily make him a moderate. MAGA is more a vibes thing, like a tonal thing, than it is like an ideology thing. But I think Youngkin is more of an establishment conservative than a MAGA type. So I guess that's what I meant there. let's see, Thomas Davenport. Thomas, just making sure I say thank you for being a member of the Diamond Club. For folks who want to join, check it out. You get a bunch of content that's not anywhere else on this site, and you get a second live stream every week, every Wednesday. Thomas Davenport, Chris, if a Republican president is elected in 28, Trump will be out of office and that person is the president. What would Trump actually do if he doesn't like their policies? Complain. I think a lot. Bash them. I mean, I'm not sure how much it would matter, but I think he will. He's going to want to be he is not going to give up being relevant. He's just not. Slow Jake says, hey, all, good to be here. Good to have you. Let's see. You snooze, you news, a member of the Diamond Club, says, when partisanship prevails, only billionaires reap the benefits. True, a lot of truth in that. Let's see. I'm trying to, folks, I am trying to get to everybody here, but I'm trying to make sure I get to people who have not asked questions. Pratik Shrivastava, what do you think about Trump's fight with India? Yeah, I mean, he is sort of blaming India for using Russia's oil. I assume, Pratik, that everything Trump says and does is like an attempted negotiation. So I don't know if that fits into it, but I suspect that it does. Herlan Alvarado, could this government spending deadline on September 30th be trouble for Speaker Mike Johnson? Yes. Yeah, I mean, look, we have this every time there's a spending deadline or a funding deadline. It's a fight with the Republican Party beating each other up. Johnson, to his credit, and I've written about this and I've made videos about it, to his credit, has managed a very small majority extremely well. I think he's been the most effective speaker since Nancy Pelosi, which I would not have thought. So I would not bet against him at this point because of the success he's had, but it is going to be a problem. Dr. Banana says, I love the dad joke 3000. My wife got this for me for Father's Day.
How do you find Will Smith on a snowy path? Look for Fresh Prince.
Fresh Prince. See?
Why did the astronaut leave the party? He needed a little space.
There's hundreds of these things. Let's see. Paul Michael Kane, really appreciate all your efforts. No question. You just wanted to know how much you are appreciated. That's so kind. Thank you. Slow Jake says, Chris needs some chat moderators. I will say this. If you want to help me moderate this chat, just because I think sometimes it's just like people being like, read my question, or why are you ignoring me? I'm not ignoring you. I'm trying to answer questions and go through all this stuff and make sure that everybody gets heard. If you want to be a moderator, email me, cillizzac@gmail.com, and tell me why you think you would do a good job. I don't want a partisan. I don't want someone who's going to moderate and be like, I'm a Democrat, so we're not going to have any questions that I don't like, or I'm a Republican. So I don't want any of that stuff. But I do want someone who can be like, stop spamming the chat. You know what I mean? And just help us all be good citizens of the internet. Pratik Shivrastava, I hope I'm saying your name right. Thank you for your donation. That's really cool. Kennedy Ivy said, moderators are lame. Let the chat go wild. No. Daniel Kent, what's the biggest misconception about working at CNN that outsiders have? I would say for media in general, the biggest misconception is that there's like some secret plot that we're all in on and we're all trying to push an agenda. Most people are just trying to do their job every day. So I think that's the one. I think that's right. All right. I think I've gotten everybody. Hold on. I'm going to do a quick scroll, make sure I have not missed any super chats because people get very testy if I do. Got that. What I will say is, I think there's Sam again telling me Reputation is the best Taylor Swift album. Love that, Sam. Great take. I think I got them all. For everyone who donated in this chat, thank you. Daniel Kent says, I still think the Diamond Club sounds like where Eyes Wide Shut parties happen. We're not there yet. Daniel. No, it's just to give people a little bit more content. So it does kind of sound like that though. All right. So let me make a couple quick thoughts at the end. If you, 4 things you can do. Hit the subscribe button, free and easy. Hit the like button on this video, free and easy. Slightly less free, but still easy. become a member of the Diamond Club, which is not an Eyes Wide Shut party situation, at least not yet. You get the video of Chuck Todd and I, our podcast every Monday. You get that video. You also get a bunch of other videos that I'm posting throughout the week that are not going on the main channel. And you get a live stream just like this every Wednesday for members only. You can also support me in other ways. You can go to buymeacoffee.com and become a reoccurring supporter. It's not just for coffee. It's just a way to sort of be like, I want to give Chris $5 a month just to support what he's doing, or $500 a month. You also can go over to my Substack newsletter. Just type Chris Cillizza and Substack in, and you can check out. There's a bunch of free content. Every day there's free content. There's also paid content. It's $6 a month or $60 a year. So I'd love to have you over there. Until next week, if you're a member, I will see you Wednesday for our weekly live chat. If you are a subscriber but not a member of the Diamond Club yet, I will see you on Friday. Everybody take good care. Thank you all for your support in whatever way, financial, emotional, you can offer it. Take good care and have a good weekend.